Private prisons should be paid by how long former inmates stay out of jail after they serve their full sentence.
A simpler way to do this would be through a recidivism penalty for the prison. Prisons shouldn't be private. Does that sound crazier? Prison, education, religion, healthcare, and the government should never be about making a profit. That would mean we would have to have a system based on rehabilitation rather than punishment. Which would be crazy, right?
After Usain Bolt retires, just pump him full of drugs and see how fast we can get a human to go.
Better yet, we take his DNA and clone him. We train them all from young children and try different training regimens and different mixes of drugs. We even use different motivation styles. After we've determined the best way to raise an athlete, we begin training all third-born children. Or after, in this manner, to create a second-class group of citizens that would act as super soldiers. But then, by definition, he's already past his prime. You need to act now. Get him permanently banned from competition. Then jack his shit up. You're assuming athletes are winning without drugs? We know they improve performance. And we know some of them are undetectable. The Matrix won't allow that.
An R-rated animated Scooby-Doo movie where people actually get brutally killed and Shaggy tells Fred to go fuck himself.
The darkest Scooby-Doo I remember is the Zombie Island movie. They finally catch a zombie and are like, alright, let's see who it is, and the head popped right off. I thought that was pretty hardcore for Scooby-Doo. Also, they talk about voodoo, I'm pretty sure. I just want a version of Home Alone with realistic injuries. A hard R Home Alone. I know of an R-rated Scooby-Doo movie. I don't think anyone dies, but a few people get stabbed. Supernatural had an episode with Scooby-Doo. Not quite R-rated, but people die. S13E16.
Ask a stranger to watch your bag for you but never actually leave. Just sit there and watch your bag together with your new friend.
Then start making comments like, it's usually better behaved. It must be nervous around strangers. Then start petting it. If they ask you WTF this is about, say, after the last time. We aren't allowed to have only one person watching it. Refuse to elaborate. Bonus, have a bag of popcorn or other munchies and offer some to the bag now and then. This is the best yet. I'm doing it.
Pronounce Chipotle like Aristotle, and the latter like the former. If we start now, we can probably switch the pronunciations in 10 or 20 years. 50 tops.
I'm going to need to see phonics spellings of both of these words. My brain can't handle it. I thought you meant just switch the words around. Spell it one thing, but say another. In hindsight, that is truly crazy. Kind of like a modern Bill and Tedism, what with Beethoven, Socrates and the like. Tepfel/single quote ashar.stoty, Lee.
For April Fools, the creators of Where's Waldo should make book where Waldo just isn't in it.
My man, just leave them out of 15% of the book. Much more rage-inducing. It'd rip that book to pieces, ha ha ha. How about There's Waldo? A book of Where's Waldo that has Waldo out in obvious places are already pointed out and circled, with arrows pointing to him like in YouTube thumbnails. It's called Crazy Ideas, not evil ideas that might turn a good person into a murder.
Start pronouncing Popeyes as Popies and see how long it takes to catch on.
Used to call RuneScape Runescape to piss people off. My favorite is Deadmau 5. My friend and I just started referring to the Deftones as the Deft Ones. Can't wait to see how mad it will make some people. I'll take the rapists for $100, Alex.
Streaming services like Netflix could have one channel which plays random movies or shows and you can watch that channel when you are not able to decide what to watch.
Or just give us a random button. Sometime I just want to watch a random episode of a sitcom and don't like being forced to pick. A site-wide random button could also work for you. Have an upvote and be blessed with amazing parking all next week. It's been suggested to Netflix a few times over the years, but it seems they're unlikely to implement such a feature. And #X200B. I know it feels counterintuitive to the benefits of streaming versus traditional television, but sometimes I just want something playing that I can ignore and occasionally glance at while I am working on other things. If I listen to music, audiobooks, or podcasts, I tend to listen intently so it breaks my concentration. But if I were to just put on a random stream, I can go about my business. So, cable television without commercials. What you are describing is cable television without commercials.
Have Tinder update their app, where if you swipe left 10 consecutive times, it automatically posts your picture to roast me. So Reddit can tell you why you shouldn't be such a picky douchebag.
Or automatically match everyone who swipes left 10 times in a row with people who swipe right 10 times in a row. Or it could be that I'm swiping left on the tons of fake accounts. Fair, as long as the 10 swipes are included in the pics. There's some really rough chowder on Tinder. Really? If I have zero attraction to someone, what's the point of swiping right? If anything, it's a douchier move to swipe right, and then if they match you, never send a message or reply to theirs.
Judges shouldn't be able to see or hear defendants directly. They should also never be told the sex or race of the defendant. This would remove a fair bit of racism and sexism from the judicial process, whether real or perceived.
Asked my dad, who's an attorney, what he thought, and here's what he said. Part of the jury's function is to weigh the credibility of the witnesses. They cannot do that if they don't see them answer questions, watch them as the other party answers questions, etc. My experience on juries suggests that judges are usually very even-handed, at least in this district. It would be better if the juries couldn't see the defendant. They should also not be allowed to use the hammer to silence the court. Stern jazz hands only. Dude, great idea. Or dudette. Works great on Reddit, lol.
Mystery plane tickets, where everyone boards the plane and then there's rounds of voting as to what the destination will be.
That would actually be fantastic. Except I think completely random and not knowing until you land would be even better. But make it themed so people know what to pack for. Like beach flight, mountain flight, etc. Then make it random. Fuck. I need to become a millionaire and do this. Or do it like flying standby. But you don't know where instead of when. You bought a super cheap ticket. Show up and they throw you on a random plane to fill empty seats. Where do I sign?
Reddit should have a Reddit wood gilding option that is free, but requires a few cumbersome steps, just to show that certain users liked the post so much that they were okay with going through the trouble.
The cumbersome steps would probs need to be somehow profitable for Reddit. Watch an ad to be able to give this person wood. Wish we could have the opposite. I want to send Snoop-oo to really bad posts. I would rather give someone real wood as a sign of my appreciation. The store was out of wood. But how about some Reddit stone moai, Reddit helium balloon, Reddit bacon, Reddit toots dashing away, Reddit's pretzel.
Everyone in the US cancels their internet plan when the FCC brings down net neutrality.
Man, if we could get the entire US to cooperate on anything, that would be a miracle in its own right. If this actually did happen, and it continued for at least a week, it could actually very much work. But then again, imagine if we could get the whole country to cooperate on anything at all **. We could do some miraculous shit. Lol reminds me of that South Park episode. How will you know you won't have internet and not use the internet for a week? Exclamation mark. Absolutely preposterous.
Porn sites should have most viewed multiple times by same computer and average percentage of clip watched statistics instead of as well as most viewed and most favorited.
And while we're at it, get rid of the share function. or the video that was most frequently the final video viewed before leaving the site. Edit. Wow, a gold for this? Thanks. Edit. My top comment is about porn. Great. Haha, I'm glad you acknowledged the big flaw there, that people likely wouldn't be comfortable knowing the site has all that info. I'm very curious to see what the top results would be for this. Get moving on it. Xtube is terrible for this. The top rated, top viewed videos all seem to be the most hideous, greasy, bloated amateur porn in existence. I used to squint when scrolling because I didn't want my boner to go in a coma.